Hello, everyone. I'm just going to be walking through a sample use case using the Tamer system. But before I do that, I want to provide some context into what this live demo is going to be able to show you. I'm going to be walking through how Tamer is able to build up a unified and enriched view of a customer across a wide variety of data sources. I should mention that getting a unified view of a customer is a common use case, although we often play a role in building and maintaining many other entities out there like organizations, suppliers, parts, and products. The organization we're going to be looking at today is a large publishing company, and they have CRM systems that track their various textbook sales data. In addition to that, they have various other systems across the organizations to really track their supplementary educational app data. There's a business initiative to get a unified view of the customer across these various systems. Tracking all these customers across these different touch points will help them execute both not only on marketing initiatives, but also on analytics initiatives, both which depend on rich customer data for proper segmentation. One immediate project is to cross-sell textbooks to education customers more effectively. The issue today is that there's no way to really identify a customer in their traditional systems. And traditional approaches have not really scaled appropriately to their needs. To Ehab's point earlier, top-down approaches have not been successful at managing the always changing and incrementally available nature of today's data. So jumping into the demo. Okay. The first screen you'll see here is an inventory of all the data sources we've integrated together up until this point to build this unified view of a customer. The first data source is a textbook CRM data source. Below that are a bunch of different sources ranging from other CRM systems, data warehouses, application data source data, all in the form of structured and semi-structured data. Each of these sources have overlapping and unique attributes that describe this customer, the customer for this organization. One of Ehab's points earlier was that data curation platforms need to be able to handle a variety of data sources, whether they be relational databases, HDFS, JSON, XML, and that long tail of referential data that is not typically being leveraged today by an organization. Tamer's platform was built to handle all that variety. So jumping ahead a little bit, I'm going to show you now what Tamer is going to be able to generate post-data integration. So Tamer here is providing a unified view of each of the organization's customers that can be consumed as reference data, wherever the organization needs that to be for their marketing and analytics initiatives. In addition to that, Tamer is also going to be able to provide the data linkage description data that can be consumed for various operational workflows that need that knowledge of how these sources are interconnected. Now let's take a look at one of the customers. What you're looking at here is a representation of one customer, Paula Hostakova, across all of the sources we've integrated. Using machine learning combined with human insight, Tamer's system was able to identify and link with high confidence all of Paula's touch points across the various textbook and educational systems. As you'll see here, Paula has used a number of different email addresses to interact with the organization, and all of her attributes, whether they be contact, profile, preference data, they vary pretty dramatically per source. And in some cases, such as gender, we only see that value coming from one of the sources. However, it's now going to become part of Paula's identity. Now let's walk backwards a little bit to show you how we were able to get to this view. As Ehab mentioned, data integration is an ongoing process, and it's never complete. So most times we'll want to continue enhancing and maintaining our customer view as new data comes into the system or existing data has changed. Let's first show you how matching happens at the attribute level, and then I'm going to show you how the matching happens at the record level. So in the middle of the screen here, you're going to see our unified view that I've built up until this point. For example, if you look at one of the attributes called email, it's comprised of 6 different attributes coming from 6 different sources. Now what I'm going to do is go through the exercise of showing you what it takes to integrate a few new sources from the bottom up. So I can select some sources here on the left-hand side, and they'll appear on the left. Also, there's a representation at the top here of all those attributes. Everything in green, Tamer's system is highly confident can be mapped to an attribute in the unified schema. Everything in red, Tamer is very confident that these are unique attributes, meaning they don't exist yet in the unified schema. And everything in gray are attributes that Tamer's machine learning doesn't have enough high confidence to make that mapping decision. So Tamer is analyzing these attributes by looking at both the attribute values and the attribute names, along with all the previous data integration that's taken place to help make the most informed decision. The last point is really important. Since Tamer is continuously learning with each integration, the cost per new source integrated should decrease with each new source needed to be integrated. To show an example of when it may be appropriate to tap into an expert, we'll go through one of these exercises. So if we look at the attribute GPA, Tamer has very low confidence that it maps to review. And so we can actually take a look at the values of GPA and get a feel for, is GPA the same thing as review? If we're not confident at this point, we can reach out to experts to make that decision. So right in the UI, I can actually reach out to experts. So Tamer's system allows me to tap into a wide range of domain experts. They range from business owners to analytics and data science teams, source owners, and so on. I could send that mapping question to one or many experts at the same time, and they can all weigh in on the decision. Tamer's going to manage each of their expertise levels and their question workload as well. In addition to tapping into experts to weigh in on some of these ambiguous mapping decisions, I may want to also tap into an expert such as an analyst or a data scientist, to tell me if something, an attribute like phone is an attribute I'd want to bring into my unified view of my customer as sort of an enrichment value that I can do my analytics on. In Ehab's earlier presentation, one of the points missed with traditional data curation is that there's a lack of non-programmatic interfaces to get these type of input on curation decisions. Tamer tackles exactly that with this workflow and UI tapping into a variety of different domain experts in the organization here. So once we're comfortable with our schema, the next step in Tamer is to perform matching for the same schema at the record level. So similar to how I showed you matching at the attribute level, there's a histogram at the top that indicates which pairs of records are likely to be a match, which pairs of records are likely to be unique, and which pairs of records there's some uncertainty around. We can again tap into experts across the organization to help with these uncertain pairs of records to continuously optimize our model. And depending on the organizational's requirements, you can decide how large should this ambiguous area really be before I accept the model. For example, in an analytics use case, I may want to allow more room for ambiguous records before I accept the model. Tamer can continuously surface the state of your model, so you can always be monitoring the health of that curation effort. Once we've trained our model to our needs, we can then publish that clustered view of the customer that I originally showed you at the start of this demo. So now looking back at Paula's record, we can now consume this customer view for marketing and analytics initiatives that were previously a really big challenge without data unification. For example, in a cross-selling initiative, I can now track Paula across various education and textbook system when I join the merged records all together to her purchase data to see if Paula is actually that optimal customer I should be cross-selling textbooks to, based on all her purchase history, based on her preference data, and based on her demographic data. For other more complex analytics, I can also join Paula's customer record to the transactional data and application event and usage data to see what combination of interactions with my organization are leading to better conversion rates and retention. So what I just showed you was an example of how Tamer can be used to help curate silos of customer data to build a unified and enriched view for marketing and analytics. I'll pause now to hand it over to Nidhi for some Q&A.
Thank you, Ehab, and thank you, Eamon. So we've got some great questions from the audience, and I'll ask both of you. So one of the questions Ehab